Jai Gurudev and Hari Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. Yeah, maybe each one of us can share at least one input from the last few shlokas that we have been taught.
Hari Om. I love words Apratim, Achyut for contemplation. And I love the innocence of Arjuna, who is again requesting Bhagavan to come back to that Chaturbhuj Roop, which is pleasing to his eyes. And I love the way he pleaded that knowingly or unknowingly, I have underestimated you, maybe as a friend, but you forgive me as a father and as a beloved. That was very, very beautiful. Hari Om.
Arjuna throughout the Gita has been such a truthful, honest, and sincere seeker. It is not like he just wanted, after listening to the Vibhuti Yoga of Krishna, he himself wanted to see his Rupam. Because he requested, out of his grace, Bhagwan has shown him his Vishwarupa. And after having seen that, although he's bewildered seeing this, and he's happy that he's been able to see something that no one else, Adrishta Purvam, no one else was able to see it before. Although he's happy, he has mixed feelings in that he's also very frightened by his massive form and all that he's seen. So, being very
especially
honest.
the Damstra Karal, when he saw the wild teeth,
Right.
and naturally imagining that itself is shivering for us. I mean, so he saw that, and Ananta Roop, I mean, he could not, every time he was bowing down to all the directions, assuming he's there, he's here, he is there.
Right.
So that was also very, very wonderful. And the way Nanaji is describing is like, if you feel like it is, you are able to imagine very
Right.
well.
So, our takeaway, I'm talking of the takeaway from Arjuna's attitude is that we as seekers also have to be as sincere and honest and truthful about our own, inner. When we introspect, we should also be able to place out on the board what we are actually going through. Only then will we be able to also kind of make use of this knowledge to the maximum. Otherwise, there may be some aspects of us that we might not want to, um, accept. But that way, Arjuna was such a sincere seeker. That is one.
Shuddha Karan, very
Yeah,
Shuddha Karan, and he's fearful, he's projecting that I am scared,
correct.
not hiding from
He is a
Bhagavan.
Parantapa. Bhagwan himself has called him Parantapa and all those big names he's given him. If he
Yes,
was egoistic, the fact that he was able to say, I'm scared, was he was not egoistic at all. He was not covering himself up and putting up an appearance. Oh, doesn't matter. He was so innocently and very honestly mentioning that I'm scared. So please come back, show me your previous form.
Yes, very transparent.
Very transparent. And he was there 100% with Bhagwan. That one to one, it was the samvada going on. And he did not worry about anybody else. He was there with him and he was expressing himself completely. And for our factual knowledge, it is nice. I mean, I've chanted the Vishnu Sahasranamam before, but it was not without understanding the meaning. So this Vanamali, Gadi, Sharki, Shankhi, Chakri, Chanandaki was so beautiful in that. Now I know now that Vanamali is actually the mala that Bhagwan wears, Vishnu. Uh, it's called what? Vaijayanti. And Vanamali, Gadi is the mace. It's called Kaumudi. And Shargi is the bow and arrow. And it was nice. The bow and arrow signifies protection for the sadhu, siddhas and sadhus, whereas it is means the destruction for the adharmic people. Shankhi. Shankhi is the conch. It's a clarion call for everybody to wake up to their ultimate purpose. Chakri is the Sudarshan Chakra, and uh, Gad, Nandaki is the sword. So now it makes it even more meaningful when you know the meanings and you're chanting. See, normally just by listening to Sanskrit is fine. The vibrations itself make you feel so good because you connect so deeply within. But knowing the meaning, it takes you to a different uh,
Yes, very
attitude.
true. That's why we chant it 3 times, no? By the end of Vishnu Sahasra, Vanamali, this special, this stanza. My mother-in-law usually chants this 3 times. So today I
Correct.
realized that because it is a complete darshan
Mm,
of Bhagwan's,
mm,
description of Bhagwan, that's why we chant it.
nice.
This particular stanza, Vanamali Gadi Shankhi
Correct.
Chakri Shriman Nara. And the meaning of Shri also was so well.
Yeah. Vasudevo Birakshatu. That thing, that whole thing is like, may you protect me. It's such a bhakti bhavana. It's all and Bhakti Yoga has already started off in the last few chapters, last few shlokas of the of chapter 11. So nice. Anybody else wants to share? We'll start Atma Bodh.
The only thing I feel that he because he saw the duality, that's why he was scared. That because
Mm,
he himself away from, I mean, other than God, he did
correct.
not visualize. That's why he was scared. I'm
Mm,
sure if that Advaita would have, then he would have blissfully enjoyed, or maybe fallen into meditative state as well that time.
correct. Correct. That is what, no? When as long as we have the separateness of the other, there is fear. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So as long as we have the concept of the other, there is fear. That is why between fear and love, love is the fear upside down. So when you are in love, there is no feeling of the other. There is only merging. You feel so one. So that is why in the heart chakra, both are there. Fear as well as love are manifest there. So when there is love, there cannot be fear, and vice versa. So shall we go on to Atma Bodh if no one else wants to share anything? So we stopped at um, those nice, I think 3 or 4 verses were talking about the two different aspects. One is Tatpada Laksha, Tatastha Laksham and Swarupa Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshanam is that you indicate the nature of Brahman by showing something else, that what it is not, that is, and then now it's coming to the Swarupa Lakshana. अतद्व्यावृत्तिरूपेण वेदान्तैर्लक्ष्यते द्वयम् अखण्डानन्दमेकं यत् तद्ब्रह्मेत्यवधारयेत्. Atat, not this. Vyavritti rupena, by the process of negation. Vedantaihi, by Vedanta philosophy. Lakshyate, indicated. Advayam, non-dual. Akhandanandam, indivisible and blissful. Ekam, one. Yat, which. Tad Brahma, that to be Brahman. Iti, thus. Avadharayet, realize. Realize that to be Brahman, which is non-dual, indivisible, one and blissful, and which is indicated in Vedanta as the immutable substratum, realized after the negation of all tangible objects. Reference is made here to the process of negation, which was explained earlier. None can directly reach the all-pervading Brahman, who is not an object of cognition, but is itself the subjective reality, ever illumining all thoughts and actions. Being one without a second, it does not admit of any difference from similar or dissimilar objects. This indivisible and immutable self is not an impotent factor, but a positive state of infinite bliss. The Upanishads indicate that this self is reached by a process of negation of what it is not and of assertion of what it is, the very substratum for all the existence. Are not our minds limited? Are not our thoughts in their impurity ever unsteady? Are not the objects of cognition ever changing and of a perishable nature? What is it that is changeless in all this welter of change? What is the one life force on account of which there is the manifestation of matter? Who illumines the inert matter? Who injects matter with the vigor and vitality of life? What exists behind all this pluralistic existence? Which is the homogeneous and the all-permeating spirit in all objects? What keeps all things in one loving embrace, like the string in a garland of pearls? That is the substratum, the basis of our own self, which cannot be objectively pursued, but can be subjectively experienced as the pure consciousness, Atman. In the earlier three stanzas, the self was indicated with a definition by differentiation, yet in consonance with it, technically called the Tatastha Lakshana. From here onwards, we have a description of the life spark in us by the direct method called Swarupa Lakshana. The example for the Tatastha Lakshana given was when you have to indicate a house, you say the crow that is sitting on the house. So the house on which the crow is sitting, that is the house. Like you show if you want to show some star or something in the sky, you say the star that is between the two branches of that tree. So that is the Tatastha Lakshana. Whereas now it is the Swarupa Lakshana. अखण्डानन्दरूपस्य तस्यानन्दलवाश्रिताः ब्रह्माद्यास्तारतम्येन भवन्त्यानन्दिनोऽखिलाः. Akhandananda whose nature is unbroken bliss, tasya, his, Ananda Lavashrita, depending only upon a particle of this bliss, Brahmadhyaha, the creator and other deities, Taratamyena, in proportion, Bhavanti, are Anandinaha, enjoying the bliss, Akhilaha, all. Deities like Brahma and others are from the creator himself, that is Brahmaji, down to the most undeveloped worm, the most insignificant unicellular organism, all enjoy but a share from a minute particle of this infinite bliss of the absolute Brahman. So deities like Brahma and others taste only a particle of the unlimited bliss of Brahman and enjoy in proportion their share of that particle. That truth, which is by nature absolute bliss, is really endless, although the quantity actually enjoyed differs according to the capacity of the individual. Be he an ordinary mortal, or a meritorious and righteous man, or a deva. An infinitesimal part of that infinite bliss is the lot of even Indra, the king of the gods. Brahma, the creator, the cosmic soul, tastes only a particle of this limitless bliss, Brahmananda. On a small portion of this depends the entire world of joy. How can the poor mind and intellect measure the magnitude of this immeasurable depth of Swarupananda? Remember, this limitless joy is not actually measured here. We are only shown how even the ethereal joys of even the Creator is but a negligible joy borrowed from it. In fact, you are that absolute bliss itself. A relative picture has been drawn here to give us a wild quantitative measure of the infinitude in terms of a finite yardstick. In our daily transactions in the materialistic world, we do employ the same method. For example, in the annual meeting of a very successful business company, the managing directors may, in their report, suggest that they are planning to construct extensions involving a large sum of expenditure and may enumerate a dozen other items of expenditure for the convenience and recreation of the staff. involving another large amount apart from a 3 months bonus to all the workers. The shareholders, flabbergasted at this colossal amount involved, would surely get ready to vote the suggestions down. But if the management were to wind up their report saying that this entire amount budgeted for spending is but a mere 2% of the total profits, all protests are withdrawn as everybody gets a clear picture of the total profit made. This is the method that has been adopted here by Shankara. If we are told that the truth is of the nature of bliss absolute, an ordinary student does not get a clear quantitative concept of the Brahmananda. No doubt, there is happiness in everybody's life. There is none who lives as a sentient organism without its limited share of joy. If all these moments of joy were to be added on, the joy so experienced by all living creatures, from the Creator down to a blade of grass, would be the total joy, Vishayananda, in the universe. This sum of experienced joys by all the sentient bosoms from the day of creation till today is, it is said here, but an infinitesimal portion, lava, of the bliss absolute. When this much is told, the student may probably get a rough and ready concept of the absolute bliss. This is the only available method by which the teacher can give at least a vague intellectual notion of the infinite bliss experienced by a man of realization when he has transcended all the limitations of his mortal existence. Wow, this is such a wow. I think in the Taittiriya Upanishad, this is very beautifully explained how uh, mortal joys compared to this Brahmananda. It is, I can't remember, it's something like Tadeko Manusha Anandaha. Then 1,000 times Manusha Ananda is a Deva Ananda. Like that, it goes on and on. And then ultimately is the Brahmananda. And Gurudev also mentions the joy that we get from our sense pleasures, that is just an infinitesimal part compared to the absolute bliss that you get when one experiences absolute bliss. Tadyuktamakhilam vastu vyavaharastadandvitaha tasmat sarvagatam brahma kshire sarpirivakhile. Tad Tadyuktam, pervaded by that Brahman, Akhilam, all, Vastu, objects, Vyavaharaha, actions, Tadanvitaha, are possible because of that, Tasmat, therefore, Sarvagatam, permeating everything, Brahma, the Brahman, Kshire, in the milk, Sarpihi, butter, Eva, like, Akhile, in everything. All objects are pervaded by Brahman. All actions are possible because of Brahman. Therefore, Brahman permeates everything as butter permeates milk. What is real in the phenomenal world is Brahman, the substratum, and when it is all pervading in nature, how can anything escape its touch? He is the illuminator of all actions and thoughts, whether here within his body or there without in the world outside. Without its grace, the sense organs in the body are mere holes on the flesh, and the outer world of objects are also gross inert matter without any symptom of life. But for this all permeating, life giving fire of existence that flows through them all. Butter permeates milk, although it is not easy for us to see it directly in the milk. Brahman, likewise, permeates all objects. Butter is extracted from milk by churning. So also, the Atman can be separated from the world of names and forms by intense meditation. And when the spirit is experienced, the world of plurality is no more perceived. As in butter, there is no more any milk. So you're able to identify Brahma, the Brahman, which is Sat, Chit, Ananda, as apart from this Jagat, which is Mithya. So the distinction between the rope and the snake becomes very clear, just like how we remove butter from milk. There is no more milk in the butter, it is only pure butter. Ananvan an Ananvasthulam mahrasvam adirgamajamavyayam arupagunavarnakyam tad brahmetyavadharayet. Ananu, neither subtle, asthulam nor gross, ahrasvam, neither short, adirgam nor long, ajam, without birth, avyayam, without change, arupa guna varnakyam, without form, qualities, color, and name, tad brahma, that to be Brahman, iti thus, avadharayet, realize. Realize that to be Brahman, which is neither subtle nor gross, neither short nor long, without birth or change, without form, qualities, color, and name. In the last stanza, it was stated that all objects are pervaded by Brahman. Elaborating the point further, it is here referred to as neither gross nor subtle. It pervades all. It is a substratum for everything. Split or cleave even an atom, and there too we find but its presence. Finite objects which are bound by limitations of space and time are either gross or subtle. But this timeless time and spaceless space, the infinitude of the infinite, cannot be bound by space, time, causation, and hence can be only defined in negative terms such as neither gross nor subtle, etc. What is born is the body, mind, and intellect, and the objects of the outer world, not the Brahman, who is the existence in the very progenitor of all creation, the very knower of the first uncaused cause. This infinite reality is irreducible, formless, with neither quality nor caste nor name. Naturally, it is indescribable. It cannot be an object of either our perception or our feelings or our thoughts. This is a description of the infinite in the language of negation. Language has its own limitations. It can describe only themes that have qualities, guna, or function, kriya, or name, nama, or qualifications, vishesha, or relationship with others, sambandha. None of these are there for the one eternal infinite substratum for everything, and hence it must elude language and remain as indescribable. This technique of describing the infinite by the process of negation is made use of only in our scriptures. These terms are to be considered as so many arrow marks indicating the truth. They are not in themselves positive definitions of that. Know that to be the Brahman. I will read the 61th also before we go on to the Bhagavad Gita chanting. Yad bhasa bhasyate kadi bhasyair yattu na bhasyate yena sarvamidam bhati tad brahmetyavadharayet. Yad bhasa, by the light of which bhasyate are illuminated, arkadi, sun and other luminous orbs, bhasyaihi, by the luminous orbs, yaha, that, tu, indeed, na, not, bhasyate, is illuminated, yena, by which, sarva, all, idam, this, bhati, shines, tad brahma, that to be Brahman, iti avadharayet, thus realize. So, yad bhasa bhasyate arkadi, bhasyaihi yahatu na bhasyate, yena sarvamidam bhati tad brahmeti avadharayet. That by the light of which the luminous orbs like the sun and the moon are illuminated, but which is not illumined by their light, realize that to be Brahman. The consciousness in me illumines for me the condition of the things around me. The total cosmic consciousness is the same illuminating factor as within me, but without the conditionings of the individual ego. Even though the sun illumines the different worlds of creation, he too derives his life from that supreme force which is all pervading. So, the sun and the moon are not having a special agency other than the self in us for their illumination. That which illumines all others, but which cannot be illumined by anything other than itself, is ever the illuminator. And so, when there is no object for it to illumine, it illumines itself. This Brahman, the light of consciousness, is in its own glory, unattached and unaffected, like the street lamp, an example referred to in the earlier stanzas. Brahman is thus the light of all lights, the fountainhead of pure consciousness, and the mighty illuminator of all illuminations. Hmm. We'll do the remaining tomorrow. Anyone wants to sum up or share Atma Bodh summary?
Hari Om. I love the simile by Swamiji, like a butter. Paramatma is pervading as milk, like you cannot see milk in the butter. But we need that contemplation, that churning to bring that butter state.
Yeah, yeah. You can't, like the butter pervades the milk. It is in and through the milk. Unless we churn it, you cannot remove the butter from the milk. No? Very
Yeah, you
nice.
separate.
Yeah. And this is in different measures, starting from the Brahma creator down to the minutest of worms, even a unicellular organism. There is this spark of life in different measures, and that is only an infinitesimal part of the Brahmananda. It's only a fraction, a minute fraction of this. So if you can imagine, and that is what even Krishna Bhagwan says in the Vishwarupa Sandarshana yoga, he says, this is only a fraction of my glory that is being projected to you, Arjuna. So even that massive projection of the Vishwarupa itself is only a minutesimal part of his actual Satchit Ananda Rupa. So
Yeah,
that
this meeting point, I just missed a word. He said the budget when he said that in the board of directors meeting, when there is a part of for recreation, when the amount was heard, that then at the end it was declared that it is just a part of what a very small part. So is it that what Brahman, I mean, I just could not make out the exact takeaway from that. It was very
what Swamiji was trying to explain was how Shankara has used this comparison of the Ananda, how it's only a fraction. For that, he's given an example. If in a board meeting, they put out the budget, the board of directors, they say this much is for expenditure and this is for recreation. The amount might be really huge, but in the end, if they tell them, the stakeholders and the shareholders in the meeting, that all this put together is only 2% of the whole profit they have made, then they would not reject it. If they just listen to the whole expenditure, it might seem like it's a huge amount. But then that is only a fraction. That expenditure is only a fraction. So the total profit is a huge amount. So if you compare the profit that they were talking to the happiness that we get, the bliss we get, the bliss that we as mortals enjoy is just a fraction of that. But the actual bliss is huge, is unimaginable. I think to
okay.
explain
Yeah.
Shankara's way of projecting, of explaining the Brahmananda, Swamiji has used that example.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Very beautiful.
I think this is for today's 21st century people to understand. He has given this very beautiful and apt example for us. Otherwise, just 1,000 times, infinite times, million times, it doesn't really click. But this example of this company profits and 2% and all, it really immediately hits you. And similarly, that one milk and churning and butter.
Butter and milk.
This, yeah, and then the ghee. This example we are hearing for so many years now, but now it makes a really very different impact on the consciousness. I think when we are continuously doing these knowledge sessions, the understanding of that really when the butter comes up, there is hardly any milk, nothing. Clearly, you can separate the butter from the milk. It is very beautiful. Thank you.
So shall we
And
start Gita chanting? Um, Rinal is not able to chant today. Anyone of you wants to chant the 15th chapter?
May I?
Yeah, go ahead. Sheila ji,
Yeah,
go ahead.
before chanting, I would like to share something about this 15th chapter.
Yeah, please go.
Guruji was taking this 15th chapter, but that I couldn't make it. But on the concluding day of 15th chapter, he announced that he will be taking meditation on on the shloka. Then it the curiosity came up in me, And this one of the shloka, that is, I think it is 5th shloka, Nirmana Moha. So that he chanted, he and one of the faculty, and 3 times he chanted and made us to chant also. And it was so blissful. And we went into the meditation in that process itself. And the meditation continued for such a long period. I couldn't move an inch. That was so wonderful. And now about chanting this Gita, it made me so beautiful that I got the secret of your energy. Ramaraji, I'm mentioning it to you. Because after chanting, we are so energetic that throughout the day, that energy lingers in us. That's so wonderful that I came to, while after chanting, I realized it myself.
Very nice. And you chanted very beautifully, Sheilaji.
Yeah, after that, Guruji's that 15, that shloka meditation, it happened that from China's Manan group, someone sent this link. I came across this link about Gita Parivar. They are making us to chant the pronunciation with the correct pronunciation. They are making us to chant. And fortunately, we were at our daughter's place, and in the morning time, we had nothing to do because children used to go to attend school, and rest, my son-in-law and daughter used to go for work and all. So myself and my husband, enrolled for that. And yes, that made us so beautifully, to chant those slokas. That's that's one of the thing I wanted to share. Jai
Very nice. You can start Purushottama Yoga.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, when yesterday, I think Vijayji had shared this chanting from Ayurveda, the Gurukul boys. There, every chapter, I think they start with the Gita Dhyanam. I know, but
Yes.
that will be time consuming. For now, we will skip that because it is going to be, I think, will become too prolonged otherwise. So tomorrow will be the last day. Tomorrow we'll finish 17 and 18. We still have, tomorrow is 30th, no? 31st, let's see whether we can do a little bit of chanting. Maybe we'll do something on the 31st. All right. So you can start, Sheilaji.
Okay, Jai Gurudev. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Srimad Bhagavad Gita अथ पंचमोऽध्यायः
Panchadashodhyayah.
Sorry. अथ
Panchadashodhyayah.
पंचदशोऽध्यायः. अच्छा, it is urdhvam something. Give me a second. I opened 5th. I'm sorry for the delay.
No problem. In fact, this is the chapter that is recommended in case anybody passes on. This is the chapter that is generally chanted.
Oh, okay. I'll start.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Atha Panchadashodhyayah. Shri Bhagavanuvacha. Urdhvamulamadash shakham Ashwatham prahuravvyayam Chandansi yasya parnani Yastam veda savedavet Adhaschordvam prasutastasya shakha Guna pravruddha vishaya pravala Adhascha mulanyanusantatani Karmanubandhini manushya-loke Na rupam masyeha tathopalabhyate Nanto na chadir na cha sampratishtha Ashwattamenam suvirudhamulam Asanga-shastrena dhulena chitva Tatah padantat parimargitavyam Yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyah Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye Yatah pravrittif prasuta purani Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha Adhyatma nitya vinivratta kama Dvandvair vimuktas sukha dukkha sanye Gacchantya mudah padam yayanta Na tadbhasayate suryo Na shashanko na pavakaha Yadgatva nivartante Taddama paramam mama Mamaivangsho jivaloke Jivabhutas sanatanaha Manashashthānindriyāni Prakritisthāni karshati Shariram yadavapnoti Yacchātyutkramatiśvaraha Grihitvaitani sayyati Vayurgandhani vāshaya Stotrain chakshusparshanen cha Rasanam ghranameva cha Adhisthaya manaschayam Vishayanupasevati Utkramantam sthitam vapi Bhunjanam bahunanvitam Vimudānānupashyanti Pashyanti jñānuchakshushaha Yatanto yoginaschainam Pashyantyatmanyavasthitam Yatanto pyakritātmāno Nainam pashyanta chetasaha Yadādigatya gatam tejo Jagat bhāsayate khilam Yatchandramasi yachagno Tattejo vidhi mamakam Gama vishya cha bhutani Dharayamyahamojasa Pushnami chaushadis sarvas Somo bhutva rasatmakaha Aham vaishvanaro bhutva Praninan dehamashritaha Pranapana samayukta Pachamyannai chaturvidham Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto Mattasmritirjnanamapohanaicha Vedaischa sarvai rahameva vedyo वेदान् कृत्वेदविदेव चाहम् द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते उत्तमः पुरुषस्त्वन्यः परमात्मेत्युदाहृतः यो लोकत्रयमाविश्य बिभर्तव्यय ईश्वरः यस्माक्षरमतीतोऽहम् अक्षरादपि चोत्तमः अतोऽस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रतितः पुरुषोत्तमः यो मामेवमसम्मूढो जानाति पुरुषोत्तमम् स सर्वविद्भजति मां सर्वभावेन भारत इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम् इदमुक्तं मया नघ एतत् बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृतश्च भारत ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे पुरुषोत्तमयोगो नाम पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः। ॐ श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु। ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः।
Sheilaji,
Yes.
check whether anyone else wants to chant.
No, I'm just continuing so that I can stop and.
Okay, no problem.
Yes. Okay. श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता अथ षष्ठो No, I'm sorry.
Shodashodhyayah.
अध्याय अथ षोडशोऽध्यायः. Yeah, please continue.
Daivasura sampadvibhaga yogaha. Does anyone want to chant? Anyone volunteering to chant?
Jai Gurudev.
Okay. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhihi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi Danam Damascha Yajnascha Swadhyayastapa Javam Ahimsa Satyam Tyaga Shantirapaushunam Tyaga Shantirapaishunam Daya Bhuteshvalo Lupvam Ardavam Hrira Chapalam Teja Kshama Dhriti Shaucham Adroho Nati Manita Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharata Dambho Darpoti Manascha Krodha Parushyameva cha Ajnanam Chabhijatasya Partha Sampadamasurim Daivi Sampadvimokshaya Nibadhnaya Surimata Mashucha Sampadam Daivim Abhijatosi Pandava Dvau Bhuta Sargau Lokesmin Daiva Asura Evacha Daivo Vistarashah Proktaha आसुरं पार्थ मे शृणु प्रवृत्तिं च निवृत्तिं च जना न विदुरासुराः न शौचं नापि चाचारो न सत्यं तेषु विद्यते असत्यमप्रतिष्ठं ते जगदाहुरनीश्वरम् अपरस्परसम्भूतं किमन्यत् कामहैतुकम् एतां दृष्टिमवष्टभ्य नष्टात्मानोऽल्पबुद्धयः प्रभवन्त्युग्र नो प्रभवन्त्युग्रकर्माणः क्षयाय जगतो हिताः काममाश्रित्य दुष्पूरं दम्भमानमदान्विताः मोहात् गृहीत्वात् सद्ग्राहान् प्रवर्तन्ते शुचिव्रताः चिन्तामपरिमेयां च प्रलयान्तामुपाश्रिताः कामोपभोगपरमा एतावदिति निश्चिताः आशापाशशतैर्बद्धाः कामक्रोधपरायणाः ईहन्ते कामभोगार्थम् अन्यायेनार्थसञ्चयान् इदमद्य मया लब्धम् इदं प्राप्स्ये मनोरथम् इदमस्तीदमपि मे भविष्यति पुनर्धनम् असौ मया हतः शत्रुः हनिष्ये चापरानपि ईश्वरोऽहमहं भोगी सिद्धोऽहं बलवान् सुखी आढ्योऽभिजनवानस्मि कोऽन्योऽस्ति सदृशो मया यक्ष्ये दास्यामि मोदिष्य इत्यज्ञानविमोहिताः अनेकचित्तविभ्रान्ता मोहजालसमावृताः प्रसक्ताः कर्मभोगेषु पतन्ति नरकेषु च आत्मसम्भाविताः स्तब्धा धनमानमदान्विताः यजन्ते नाम यज्ञैस्ते दम्भेना विधिपूर्वकम् अहङ्कारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं च संश्रिताः मामात्मपरदेहेषु प्रद्विषन्तोऽभ्यसूयकाः तानहं द्विषदः क्रूरान् संसारेषु नराधमान् क्षिपाम्यजस्रमश्नुभान् आसुरीष्वेव योनिषु आसुरीं योनिमापन्ना मूढा जन्मनि जन्मनि मामाप्राप्यैव कौन्तेय ततो यान्त्यधमां गतिम् त्रिविधं नरकस्यैदं द्वारं नाशनमात्मनः kamah krodasthatha lobhah tasmadetattrayam tyajet. Etairvimuktah kaunteya tamodvaraistribhirnaraha avaratyatmana shreyaha tato yati parangatim yashastra vidhimutsrujya vartate kamakarataha nasa siddhimavapnoti na sukham na parangatim. Tasmat shastram pramanam te karya karya vyavastitau jnatva shastra vidhanoktam karma kartumiharhasi. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Daivasura Vibhaga Yogo Nama Shodashodhyayaha. Atha सप्तदशोऽध्यायः श्रद्धात्रयविभागयोगः अर्जुन उवाच ये शास्त्रविधिमुत्सृज्य यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेषां निष्ठा तु का कृष्ण सत्त्वमाहोरजस्तमः. Jai Gurudev. So tomorrow we'll do chapters 17 and 18. I think 17 is short, but 18 is a little long. It has, I think, 70 plus shlokas. And maybe we'll cut short Atma Bodha a little bit so as to chant also the Gita Mahatmyam tomorrow. And the day after, I'm just thinking aloud, maybe we can reach a consensus. We'll do the Gita Dhyanam and maybe we'll chant chapter 2 and the Gita Mahatmya. Chapter 2 is considered complete Gita, isn't it? So that we'll have time enough for the Gita Dhyanam chapter 2 and the Gita Mahatmya on 31st. So that will complete it. If anybody has any other thoughts, suggestions for 31st, please, you can put it in.
I thought you would say all the chapters.
All the
Then
chapters
you
is
said, but your loud thinking was not loud, knowing you.
yeah, I would have said that, but it is number one, it is Vinayak Chaviti, it is Ganesh Chaturthi, and actually Madhuri ji was asking whether we'll have the session or not have.
Right,
So
right.
we're stretching it too much, no?
Yeah. I
So maybe
understand.
we'll think of one time in due
Yeah.
course, we'll do one chanting where we'll chant all the chapters together.
Okay.
I think maybe Nana himself will suggest that at the end of the 18th chapter.
Yeah.
We'll do that. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Jai Gurudev. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Oh, we didn't do the Mantrahinam, right? Yeah, well, let me just chant that. Yadakshara parabhrashtum matrahinantu yad bhavet tat sarvam kshamyatam deva narayana namostute mantrahinam kriyahinam bhaktihinam janardhana yat krutantu maya deva. Mantrahinam kriyahinam bhaktihinam janardana yatkrutantu maya deva. That I'm forgetting the next shloka there.
Paripurnam
Paripurnam tadastu me. Thank you. Paripurnam tadastu te कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ॐ तत्सत् सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु। जय गुरुदेव।
जय गुरुदेव। धन्यवाद ब्रह्मराज जी।
Thank you.